All right. Pretty good day today. Had probably about 50 some live snaps, which we will continue. It's still a process. We will continue to do a whole bunch of individual drills, and the practice format won't change a lot. But we're kind of at the stage where we need to put the ball down and start playing more ball, just like what you all saw. One of the situations was coming off the goal line that y'all saw, but we'll continue to put them in a bunch of situations that's, just put it down and play live ball. So we'll learn a lot about our team here this week. But, from a stamp, just still like the energy, still like their effort, still like their attitude out there. They can't get caught up in the grind of camp. They got to come in here every day, and they got to watch a whole bunch of film and learn a bunch. We got such a long ways to go before we're ready to play that first game, but continue to like what I see out of them from an attitude standpoint. And now we just gotta play a bunch of ball, and that'll get us closer to getting ready for the first game. So just take some questions.
Dana, in terms of Will Clark with some days at the end, where do you anticipate him more? The end, D tackle, everything?
Well, and what we're doing, the 3-4 is you got two ends and one nose, which we can kick that down to a 4-man front and have a couple of tackles in there. But he can do a lot of that stuff. He can do most of it. I mean, he's one of the best pass rushers we got, so you're going to want him at end a lot. But he's gained weight, and he's a strong guy to where if we needed to get him down into a defensive tackle type situation, we could. He's playing well. His attitude's great, and he's maturing. He's becoming an upperclassman and a leader and all that.
Had a couple freshman safeties out there with the first team today. If you talk about that a little bit, what those guys have shown you, and obviously enough to be out there.
Yeah, we got injuries right now too. At safety, Cook's been hampered by a groin. He's day to day, and Morrow's been hampered by a hamstring. He's day-to-day. It's two older guys that we need to get out there. Carl Joseph kind of finished the spring as the number one safety. He's a good football player, so having him in the spring has helped him. And due to Cook being out, we slid KJ up. So, I told all the freshmen after practice, we put them in an up-tempo 2-minute situation today, and their heads started swimming. If we can't handle tempo, it's going to be a long season for us. Everybody's going to tempo. And the young guys, without the experience, that's where it shows more than anywhere. So they got caught standing around watching a little bit, but they just got to keep progressing. Two talented kids that got great attitudes. We'll continue to get better.
You have some young corners that are getting a lot of reps too, some true freshmen. Concern you that you're so young there, or what do you think of that?
Yeah, concerns us. Avery's, he's been out for a week, but we got two experienced guys in Pat and Broderick, but you're going to, in nickel packages and all that stuff, you're going to need younger guys. So, Chestnut's a freshman still. Rumpf is playing well. Nana Kroom is playing well. Those two guys are true freshmen. Yeah, it concerns the youth. We have, and I've said this from day one, we have a strange combination of a bunch of guys that have played a lot, both offensively and defensively, a bunch of guys that have played a lot, and then a bunch of freshmen that need to play as well. So those young guys, just like I told them after practice, that we're not going to consider them to be young. No, they got to be ready to get out there and play just like the older kids can.
You mentioned that tempo. How much does going against your offense help that defense, and do you feel like that can help bring them along quicker because they're experiencing that on a daily basis?
Good. Well, our ones look good today. Our first team offense looked good today. You saw the one drive that we marched down and scored, and a couple of more drives later in the day, we moved the ball well. We got lots of experience there, obviously, and they're comfortable and they're playing well. Our second team offense looks like terrible. They look awful. And that's what we're dealing with on offense is you put the second team in there and you got a bunch of true freshmen. And they don't need to act like true freshmen. They need to get better. Defensively, it's the same thing. We're not having to put a whole bunch of true freshmen in on the offensive side. We're having to put a bunch of true freshmen in on the defensive side, and they need to keep getting better, just like our second team offense needs to keep getting better.
And you had a tight end in at one spot. I think you had the two big guys in. I don't think you could do that very often last year. How much does that add? It's not just formations; it's different.
Yeah, we've always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
If you look back at what we've done in our offense over the years, it's when you have those bodies, you use those bodies. And having Donovan Miles is getting better and better. Yeah, he's a bigger body. Ryan Clark's doing some good things. Obviously, Sean's a bigger back that you can put in there and cause some problems. Cody Clay's doing a good job kind of taking over for what we did with Tyler Urban last year. Tyler was a better receiver, but we could also motion him around and put him in the backfield to get us into some bigger sets. So, yeah, we're gonna do a lot of that, and it's gonna resemble a whole lot of power football out there. If you guys want to run with that one, go ahead. I knew I'd get a chuckle out of somebody.
How would you evaluate where Gino is now versus last year when you first got here in the offense?
Yeah, I don't want to put too much pressure on him. I mean, he puts enough pressure on himself, but he's improved everything. His footwork's better, his arm strength's better, his quickness is better, his release is better, his accuracy is better. I mean, he's really improved his game, and it shows out there. He's much more comfortable, obviously, being in the second year of the offense, to where he's a little bit more comfortable from a mental standpoint. So from a physical standpoint, he's improved himself. So you couple that with the mental aspect of things, just being comfortable with what we're asking him to do. He's a better player.
The two freshman offensive linemen that you mentioned last week, are they still playing as well a week later?
No, they're starting to swim a little bit. It's catching up to them. Hopefully, we don't have to play those guys. You want to be able to redshirt O-linemen. Those guys are physically, probably up to speed, but mentally it's going to take some time. We'll keep repping them. I mean, we won't talk about a redshirt situation here for the next 2 weeks.
The O-line spot the toughest for true freshmen to come in.
No doubt. Yeah, it's not even close. I mean, we'll play true freshmen on the D-line. Obviously, the secondary don't have any backers. We'll play some receivers. We've always played running backs as a true freshman, but O-line's the one that is hard. You probably only had one guy do it in the last 12 years. If you need to, you need to. If you don't, you'd want to redshirt them.
I know you had mentioned some concern about some guys academically. Any update there?
I think we're in the clear. Are we? It's a miracle. It's the first miracle of the year. A couple guys I had some very serious reservations about, and they got cleared. So the academic people in the back are doing a good job.
Was JD outside today?
Huh?
JD was outside today, right? He's been inside in camp. He's played outside.
He's
before.
been on the scout team because he's one of those guys that we just mentioned. But he finally came to life here in the last 2 days.
Yeah.
Look good.
Yeah, he can move around too. When you have like a numbers crunch right now, where you're still trying to find inside or outside guys, he's extra valuable.
Yeah. I mean, we need him. He's played a lot of ball here. He finished the year last year as the starting Z, the outside guy. Moved him inside because we needed some inside guys, and then with the emergence of Jordan Thompson playing at a very high level, we didn't. He took that spot and ran with it. So we felt better about that inside receiver spot with him and Tavon than we did the outside receiver spot, and so we moved JD back out because he was more productive than the guys that we had there.
We're going to get a chance to talk to the freshmen tomorrow. Any of the freshman wideouts done anything to open your eyes to those? Some of the
No, not really. Other than Jordan, which we've talked about a lot about Jordan just being productive. The other guys are, and again, we're 1 week into it with 3 weeks more before a first game. So that they've all shown signs of doing some good things, but then they take a step back because they're young and their heads start swimming a little bit. So nobody that we're not willing to put any of those guys in the too deep as of right now. I would anticipate one or two of them playing, but don't know the answer to that yet.
What receivers are you comfortable with, obviously, other than your top two?
Yeah, KJ Myers is playing well. He's doing a good job. Dante Campbell is, doing some decent things. He's a physical kid. Both those guys, a year ago were just like the freshmen that we got out there right now. And with a redshirt year, they're more physical just because they've ate a lot and they've lifted a lot. And those guys physically are ready to play. We got to keep evaluating the other guys to see who else we're going to be able to put in there.
No, you haven't done this as far as building up the Big 12 and all that, but there's been a lot in the news and everything about Big 12, Big 12, Big 12. Do you worry at all about your team not really being ready for those early games because of the aura of that behind it?
No, because of how we've approached it. We haven't talked about any of the games yet, and once the first game gets closer, we'll start talking a lot about that first game, and that's the only one we'll talk about. So we've thought it out. We've got a lot of coaches that have approached this the same way for a long time, and we'll keep worrying about ourselves because we got a long ways to go. The first offense is doing some good things, but we got to play. We got to play a lot more guys on offense. We got to play defensively. We got a long ways to go, and special teams we got a long ways to go. So we'll keep worrying about ourselves, and then once we get closer, we'll worry about Marshall. And that's just the approach.
Dane, is there a significant difference if you were to run your August tape from last year, watching practice of downfield blocking compared to this year? For receivers, I'm talking about. Is it significantly better or not?
I wouldn't say it's significantly better. It's something we've worked hard on, and that's why I mentioned KJ Myers and Dante Campbell, because they're physical guys that can block downfield, do a good job of that. We've had the ability to throw a lot of screens, and I don't care who it is, if it's Squirt or Tavon or Studman, you got to be able to get out there and handle some outside backer type bodies. So we've worked hard on it, and I think it's better. Is it ready for prime time? Probably not yet, but we'll keep working it. I do think it's better though, Tony.